Tell me and my audience actually a little bit just about yourself to start with. Yeah, let's start there.
Sure. So my real name is Minam, Minam,
Mhm.
from Pakistan. Parents are from Pakistan. I was born in California, never grew up there. My bad. If I speak a little fast, I'm sorry. You can ask me to repeat myself. But was born in California, never lived there. My parents were going to move to Houston when I was a kid, a baby. And then they stopped in this place called Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is an hour away from El Paso, which I'm currently at. And they found some business opportunities there. My dad started his business over there, so I ended up growing up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, for about 12 years until high school.
Okay.
My dad didn't see like a good like outcome, like just kind of seeing my trajectory as like kind of a rebellious kid growing up. I was like, outspoken,
Hmm.
was like always getting in trouble in middle school. He's like, you're just gonna go down a bad hill if you stay around here. It's probably not the best education system around here. So he took me out to Houston, and me and my sister both. And then he used to work in here, and my mom, me and my sister would live in Houston, and he would commute back and forth.
Uh,
And so Houston is where I was just mind blown about how the world it actually is.
mhm.
I was always like I was always on YouTube and stuff back in the day. Like I always wanted to know a lot more than I needed to know as a kid. Like I was always very observant. I always hung out with people who were older than me, which is how I learned my knack for music in the first place. Because I had cousins who were a lot older than me, and I'd go visit them in Canada, and they'd put me on the hella shit, man. Back in the day, like
Yeah.
2001, I had an iRiver MP3 player. Let me see if I can get that right now.
All
I
right,
had this.
that's a name
You
I haven't heard in a minute, bro.
you
Okay.
remember these things?
Yeah, of course. That's
So
wild that you got that.
they bought me that joint in like 2001 or 2002,
Yeah.
and they just filled it with a bunch of shit like old school Pac, like Biggie, like all the shit that I needed to hear from the 90s for
Mhm.
sure, and then like some of the new school stuff like the Star Trek writers like Pharrell and stuff. So I had an ear for like music at a very young age,
Wow.
and then the more times I visited them, they would put me on to like Dilla and then Nujabes, and then I was just like, oh, well, I love music. I've listened to music my whole life, but I've never even thought about making music until like I just had an app on my phone that was like $3 called iMachine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that app.
Sure.
And then they had the presets on it, and I was like, oh, if I can just press this button and then press this button and loop it, I'll just keep adding more stuff onto that. And then I did that once in like 2016, and then 2019 I picked it up again because they had iMachine 2.
Mm.
And then I was like, oh, well, this seems a little more technical. There's a lot more kits now. So I started experimenting with way more sounds and stuff. And I kind of found my niche in like maybe the lo-fi space at first, but I wanted to do way more hip hop stuff at the time. Like I used to watch the rhythm roulette stuff heavy because of my cousin.
Sure.
And I remember I was just like, dude, give me like a cool ass like track that I could flip real quick. And he would like give me like a Roy Ayers track or something. And I would like try to flip it like a roulette style. It was dope. And then that's when I kind of got my like I don't know, I guess my groove from making music. And then I guess I'm going too fast. Like, do you want me to like
That's
pace myself a little more?
Nah, this is perfect, man. I mean, so this is all the background in terms of like what what led you because you didn't even mention koala, which is perfect. This is
Yeah.
everything that happened pre koala, and then somehow a few years ago, I presume, is when you got introduced to that app. So tell me and tell everyone about like how that happened. How did you find out about the app?
So yeah, it was funny enough. It was around COVID, and then I was making music, and I was like, I wanted to do a fitness account because I was really into fitness at the time. I wanted to like go to the gym and start tracking my progress and like doing like a fitness account on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like create stuff on social media because like I felt like my whole life I was a creative. I was an art student in high school and middle school,
Okay.
like actually drawing. I was really good at drawing, and I just stopped. I eventually started just getting into partying and just doing dumb shit, and I kind of just lost my knack for being a creative again, you know? And so when I started making this music stuff, I was like, well, I need an outlet for this now because now that it's COVID, I can't make this fitness account now. I can't be going to the gyms. So I might as well make an account for this music stuff, these funny little beats I'm making on my phone, which were pretty mediocre at the time. And
Mm.
I started on iMachine, and I did that for like 3 4 months on Instagram. And I had this like kind of like formula where I was doing it with Giphies. I was making visuals with Giphies. If you look back through my profile, you'll see it.
Mm.
And then I got introduced through Koala from I don't know if you know who A Greg is. He
Mm.
does a lot of stuff on the PO. He does a lot of stuff on the Pocket Operator.
Okay.
And he posted something he did on an app, and I was like, well, if I'm on an iPhone right now, why don't I know about this app?
Mm.
And so I downloaded it $5. Didn't know how a sampler worked at all. I was lost, so lost. But like putting my own sound into it was even harder for me. I didn't know what sound kits to use or anything. And then I just had to learn. You know, I didn't really watch any tutorials at the time. I think I forgot his name is Michael something. He had one tutorial on YouTube that it was kind of complicated. I didn't know the vernacular or the terminology at all. Like things he was saying, like you have like I don't know, just like things that I didn't understand any of the lingo,
Yeah.
like the choke groups and velocity and everything. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And so I didn't even know how to mix for like the first year on Koala, like panning or anything. I knew nothing about that.
Uh-huh.
But I was still getting followers and getting a fan base through just like the visual concept. And I did have an ear for like making hip hop beats. So people were like, damn, this dude's making kind of dope stuff on his iPhone or whatever. And then I got an iPad because I liked having more of a bigger workflow than just like pressing a little buttons on like my iPhone, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got the iPad, it became a lot easier at that point because I would have split screen Koala with files and I would just drag and drop. Like, you have an iPad, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Do you do that as well when you split screen your files
I certainly
and
do.
then I drag and drop and then I also do that with Discord where I'll have a drum loop playing on Koala and then I'll just drag and drop people who like drop samples in there and stuff, even their own samples or like old school tracks that you can sample, and then I would just drag and drop it and just start like chopping it up on the spot with the drums, and I would try to manipulate that into the drum pattern I already had, and then it became more organically like that way, and then I just got the hang of it. I'd see like DiBiase, like how he would approach it, and like Telly McLean, a couple of other like Koala, like I don't know. When you say I'm like the one that you would say is like the Koala like Titan or whatever, I would say I'm like demographically more consumable because I kind of make more of a wider range of music for ears, I guess. But like they make the most intricate, like crazy sloppy drum, like swinging out
Mhm.
the ass. Like I don't know how they do that stuff. And
Mhm.
I always want to learn. Like I always wanted like to get as big as they were, like on certain accounts. Like Kilroy. You seen that guy Kilroy?
Think so.
Really?
Nah,
It's so
I'm
strange.
gonna have to get all these names from you, like on Instagram DM after the conversation. You could message
Um,
me because I
yeah, no, so
yeah
I would follow these cats and they'd be like a couple thousand followers ahead of me. And I'm like, damn, I want to just network right now and get to where they're at.
yeah.
Because I just wanted to grow. I didn't really care about where this was going. I just knew it was COVID. I have
Mhm.
nothing to do. I just want to see something grow in front of me. You
Yeah,
know, it's like, and I felt like a creative again. You know, I was putting out content, people were consuming it. So that made me really happy.
that's
And then,
fine.
yeah, it's been around 2 years on Koala. So I feel pretty good about it now.
I would say the fact that if I were to look at your page now, which I did right before our conversation, and I see that it's very interesting as a content creator and as someone who I would say just a lot of different things. Like if you look on my page, you're like, okay, there's some interviews with people, there's some music stuff with Teenage Engineering, there's some piano stuff. It's kind of very all over the place, if you want to say that.
You're everywhere. You're everywhere.
A lot going on, a lot of different interests that I've sort of, have thought about for quite a while now to kind of figure out how, if I should, and if so, how to make these things pertain to the right audience. Because just because someone is interested in one facet of me doesn't necessarily mean at this point in my, sort of career. But I would say that with you, when I look at your page and I see that, first of all, your Instagram bio as well as your first impressions on it's Koala. This is like the main thing that you're using it for. And so for me, whether you look at any of the people that you mentioned, I talk to DiBiase every so often and stuff. He's super cool. He's also a fellow girl dad. So I've seen him like with some live that he's done with like his daughter and stuff, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
In his case, he has, a wider range, right, of stuff that he's posting on his social. So even if he's super adept at Koala, which I'm sure he is, and I've seen his stuff and I know he is, for someone that's coming in for the first time and checking the app out, and like, I want to see someone who is using this app in a way that's inspiring to me. Your stuff is going to, in my opinion, jump out more than anyone else's who is doing a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying?
Because yeah, I'm doubling down on Koala for the exact reason because I see the potential and what it's going to be, and it's already getting there. And
Mm-hmm.
I just know the more Koala grows, the more people are going to want to know who are the people who are like pushing this, who are the top creators on this app, and like because they're going to want to follow suit, you know.
Yep.
So when I started doing Koala, it was just like the visuals. The visuals were mostly like you see like the lo-fi space where it's like an anime or like a video, like you overlay it with like a freestyle acapella, and it's just like I saw that and I started doing that, and I got good engagement on those. But I saw where Instagram was heading when they started doing the reels and how they were catering to more live videos, people showing themselves making the beats and having their face alongside the beats. And I was like, okay, I got to change it up. I got to start showing people who I am and like
Mm-hmm.
actually like yeah, just like making sure like they it's synonymous with me as well.
Yeah.
So
Sure, man.
I'm growing as well with Koala, and the more they grow, the more I grow. And I feel like you curate the Koala account, right?
That's right. Yep. Yep.
And so I think I messaged you one day. I was like, I just wanted to like collab. I was like, what if I just tagged them as a collaborator? Because I mean, it is pretty much like I'm using their app pretty well. I mean, it might as well like be like a synonymous thing where we both get followers from it, you know?
Bro. It's a thing that I'm almost surprised, and maybe I haven't done as good a job as I could of communicating to the audience, but I'm almost surprised that more people aren't doing that because it's a feature that's there. It's something that it'll make my job. I mean, I'm not getting paid for it or anything like that. I'm doing it just because the same reasons you said. This app is something that it's mind blowing how good it was before, how much progress it's made since then. And there's no reason to think that pretty much anything that you or I are like, yo, it would be cool if we can do this in the future. If it makes sense, there's no reason to think that we're not going to get that eventually. Because he's shown that all the way up to this point with his Samurai update about a year ago, right? That was like mind blowing when he dropped that.
Yeah, that was next level. And I just want to be at the forefront of something new and refreshing in the scene because I know I've never really touched a DAW or even hardware in general. Like I have a pocket operator right in front of me that I don't even touch. Like I just people are like, yo, bro, like you imagine on a DAW like what you could do, but it's like that's not what got me here in the first place. So I'm just literally doubling down on Koala. I want to see as much as I can, do as much as I can with it. And because I like the limited aspect of it, I love the fact that like it makes me more creative as a person. And like I don't like using it as a crutch because people will be like, oh, he's just doing it because like he's just like limited. And he's like, oh, well, it's good, but it's good for Koala only. But I want it to be objectively good for every like in music in general. Like, oh, this is consumable music now. It's not just like, oh, it's pretty good for just some beats on an iPad, you know? I want it to be more than that, you know?
Bro, what's interesting about your you mentioned twice already doubling down. What's interesting about that perspective is like if I think about my YouTube channel and I think about the different things that I do on the YouTube channel, whether they are, product demos or tutorials for an app or what used to be these conversations used to be on my main channel. Now they're on a separate channel that's dedicated just for the interviews. But what's interesting to me is the fact that what's very easy for me to do. So I have an education background. I used to be an engineer back in the day, but then I segued into becoming a middle school math teacher. And now I have a tutoring and mentoring business. So a big part of what I do is being able to talk, communicate in a way that is clear, hopefully, inspiring and educational and informative. Like that's something that's kind of in my DNA. So to be able to explain to someone how to use a new feature in Koala or how to do something in the app, that's something that's very easy to do. I mean, I'm using something that's maybe a little bit might be considered rudimentary, but the fact that I can have this exact headset with a USB-C sort of adapter on it, and I can play, and it has I'm not even gonna say good enough. It has a much better microphone on here versus the iPad, right? I could record tutorials doing the screen share with just the iPad and just that rig that I have, and it's something about being able to record that way versus you mentioned, showing your face on camera and stuff. Sometimes like it's just the video might even be better for me when when I'm not even on camera because I'm not thinking about how I look and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so to get to the point I'm trying to make here, having the knowledge of the fact that you and I are on the same page in terms of knowing that this app is already massive, or I'm not even gonna say massive. It's not massive yet. It's going to get massive. Right now, it's big. I would say it's not massive yet. I think it's going to get massive, relatively soon. But I also, for the same reasons that you mentioned, I want to be on the forefront. I want to be the person who on YouTube, when you're looking up tutorials and you're looking up things like how to use the app or how you use the app versus, and we're going to get into this versus how I use it versus how the next person does. I want to be able to curate that information and make sure that people like you, when people see your page on Instagram, they're going to be like inspired by the app. They're going to be like, yo, that looks really cool that this person's using a $5 app. I want to check this out. Right. From my perspective, I want to be able to like say, all right, now that we have that person in and roped in and engaged and being inspired by yourself, I want to teach you how to use this app by not just the way that I use it, but the way that all these titans, if we want to call them that use the app kind of currently do.
Yeah, it's informative, and where I say you thrive in like the more informative aspect. I thrive in, I guess, like the being the face of it. I'd say like when people ask me like, yo, can you like show me your workflow? Can you give me like a tutorial or like a breakdown of how you approach it? I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. I say that I'm gonna do it, but in my mind, I just know my approach is so unorthodox and it's so just like out of pocket that I guess it's like, I don't know. It's not very step by step. It's just very just like in my mind, like the way I approach music, it's very unorthodox, and I wouldn't want to like teach that to somebody who's trying to learn the app. I'd rather much them go through an alternative route through you or someone else. Like I forgot his name, Michael. I don't know. I think you've seen him before.
I'm wondering, someone that
You've
does
seen him. You've
tutorials?
seen him. Yeah, he was one of the first people I saw do a tutorial on
Right.
Koala.
Yeah.
And then Telly McLean has a couple. You just reposted. I forgot his name. Tavik. It's TVKII.
Yeah. On Insta, right?
I believe he has some good stuff
Yep.
on Koala as well.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I've been trying to push. Like I tell all my fellow Koala heads, like, yo, we need to collectively, not just like fucking, just like, I mean, do the same thing where you just screen record your iPhone. Show them like this is pretty groundbreaking stuff. Like what you're doing, like they need to see you doing this stuff. Like I know Strong Maurice is doing it now, where he puts like the koala on his setup in front of his NPC, and he's doing his workflow like his normal vids, like IRL vids. But like we need to do it like how the SP404 kids are doing. I know it's just like a flat tablet, but there's so many ways you can market it. Like the new thing I'm seeing on Instagram that I've been trying out is like the overhead view, where like everyone just has an overhead view of. You've seen that time and time again. Everyone the workflow, like you got the MIDI controller on the side, blah blah blah, and it's like channeling through your koala, and then everyone's doing that nowadays. And it's so easy to do that. You don't need to show your face. You don't need to do anything. You can just show people and guide them through like a very overhead view. It's instructive. Come on, like it's too easy. But I don't know. People are really shy about making beats and showing themselves, and it doesn't really make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's yeah. I'm really enjoying the conversation too, man. Just like, and I purposefully didn't ask too much about you. Just I knew what I knew from our brief correspondences and stuff. But it is really just interesting, to kind of talk to someone who is in a similar space, right? But clearly has a different interest and a different strong suit, let's call it. Like, about yourself, that like, nah, that's not going to necessarily be as fun or inspiring, or you don't even think it might you don't think it might not be as helpful, but it actually, I'll talk to you about it in a second, why I think it actually might be, in terms of sharing, some of your workflow tips and stuff. But like what you're enjoying doing, what you're having fun with, what you're building. I mean, freaking Hit Boy, I went up there and checked that. Tell me about how that happened. What is going on, man?
Those things. I mean, yeah, I still to this day will go there every couple of days and be like, he's still following me.
Yeah, just
like he's
right.
Was that like an accident? Was that for real still? Like, and then well, no, like things like that. When like a moment like that happens to me, it makes me just want to keep going, because like I was saying, like I double down on quality, and I know that like how TikTok works and like being a creator works. You want to be known for one thing, because that's what people are gonna like label you as, or kind of just I don't know, attribute to what you do. Like in TikTok, you'll see someone go viral for something, right? And they just completely stick to that. Once it starts working, they just do that over and over again until their followers blow up, and then they become known. They're known for that guy. Like, oh, that's the guy who does the koala vids, or he's the guy who makes beats on his iPad. I want it to be very simple like that. And so you were saying, wait, continue what you were saying. I think it went on a tangent. Is that along the lines of what you're saying?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about the Hit Boy thing.
Oh yeah, there we go.
How that like sort of happened, and yeah, walk us through. And by the way, what I mean by that, of course, is that Hit Boy is following you, one of the biggest producers of all time. Go ahead.
Literally. So yeah, when that kind of thing happens to me, it blows my mind, because I don't know where they find me, and probably on the Explore page. Like I've had videos on the Explore page get like around 90,000 like impressions or whatever, and I'm just like, well, who knows who's seeing that, and who's like maybe who like other people besides Hit Boy sees it but doesn't really care to engage, or like maybe has their eye on me but doesn't necessarily want to like give me the follow. But the fact that Hit Boy gave me that follow when he didn't even follow like under 1,000 people at the time.
Yeah.
I was actually out drinking with some friends, and I was at a bar, and I seen this, and I'm like, Hit Boy, no shot. And I click on that, and my boy, he's like heavy into hip hop too. He's like, no shot, you're lying. I was like, nah, bro, look at this. And we just started turning up, and no one knew like the kind of like the gravitation of that. I was like, dude, this is huge. Like, even though nothing has really transpired from that yet, like I didn't even DM him. Like I didn't want to reach out and him seeing that and be like, oh, I didn't mean to follow these type of shit and unfollow him. And then I was like, no, because my boys, they gave me affirmations like, yeah, bro, like you're doing your thing. Like don't discredit yourself. Like he followed you, and just because he didn't reach out or anything doesn't mean he's not watching you. You know, like I remember when he got the Grammy nod, I messaged him. I was like, he posted a video about like his journey or whatever, and then I replied to it, and I put like congrats on the Grammy nod, bro. You're a legend type shit. And then he hit me right away. He hit me with like the flex emoji, and then that was it. I was like,
Fire, man.
all right, good. It was an intentional follow. He knows he's following me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool enough. And now at this
Yeah.
point, it's just all about staying consistent because he followed me for a reason. He followed me because he liked my content. I'm not going to try to cater to like a Hit Boy kind of beat when I'm doing something that maybe he was inspired by. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I would like to think he maybe saw one of like the Nas flips I did because I know he's been doing a lot of the Nas albums. So
Okay.
maybe he saw something like that because on like an Instagram reel or something, and he
Yeah.
passed by it or whatever. And maybe that like he maybe thought that was dope and just threw the follow, didn't even think twice about it.
That's
That's
fire,
cool.
man.
That's fine with me. That's fine with me. And like people talk about the Jaden Smith thing too. Like Jaden Smith had DM'd me like a couple months back. I don't know if you saw that. That was another wild moment. That was another wild moment as well.
What like he messaged you about something about your music or about?
Yeah, yeah. He DM'd me, and I had woken up the next day, and I was looking through my DM requests because I didn't even follow him at the time.
Yeah.
And I just see Jaden Smith, and I was like, "It's another like fake account." And I saw the verified check, and then I went to the profile, and I saw the 18 million followers, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I got lightheaded. I was like, "Oh shit, this is real."
Yeah.
And he had just said, "Yo, man, I like the beats. I like these beats you're making." And then I was like, I mean, it took me a while to like, I don't know. I didn't overthink the response. I was like, I mean, what does he want to do? Like, I don't know what kind of DM this is.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, man. I mean, I would love to send one your way. Like, that's pretty much what I said. Nothing too crazy. I was like, yo, thank you, bro. Like, appreciate you. I'd love to send one your way. Just he read it and didn't reply. So
Yeah.
I didn't get discouraged by that. People were like, "Oh man, you fumbled the bag," whatever. I was like, "Nah, man. If he really wanted to work, maybe he would have approached it differently." But it's like, yo, he just liked the shit that I was doing.
Bro, that's so inspiring, man. I think for anyone listening to this, I mean, I'm certainly moved by that because I think a lot of us, it's a double-edged sword. Like on one hand, we don't necessarily want to say that we rely on these types of experiences in order to give us validity in what we're doing. You clearly mentioned prior to this that you're focused, but you're also like enjoying it, and you're doing your thing. And then you get these two experiences that happen that are just sort of like icing on the cake, right? It's like you already know that you're seeing the growth, the things that the reasons that you're doing what you're doing, you're seeing them, result in what they resulted in so far. But then to have these things happen, and you mentioned it, people who aren't in the space, the gravity of it, I mean, that's extremely significant, bro. The follow and the DM from people who are in these different spaces than we're in. Man, kudos to you, man. I'm feeling inspired just by hearing that, man, honestly.
Because I just see the value in it as not necessarily like, oh, my price goes up or something like that. People are like, oh yeah, the bag is today's price is not yesterday's price type thing. I don't think of it like that. It's like I see it more so as intangible. Like those kind of things just make me feel like I'm on the right trajectory. Like I don't need to like be like this is gonna shape my image. Like I have more like I have ego now because like, oh, I got the Jaden Smith DM dog. Like, and people were like always people be memeing on me about that. Like, hey bro, so what's Jaden doing today? Like like I fucking talk to him and shit. I'm like, come on, dog.
Right,
like
right.
those things come and go, and it's not gonna be like, oh, I made it now. This is my I made it moment. We're not even close to that because I didn't even go into this trying to be like I made it. So like I just see my progress, and if I ever feel like I'm discouraged by my progress or anything, I look back to like how I felt about not being creative like a couple years ago, right before COVID.
Yeah.
And then like where I am now, where I feel very comfortable, like this is literally part of my daily life, just making this content and just putting it out to the world. It just seems second nature now. And I don't even think twice about these kind of interactions anymore because I feel like it's meant to happen if it's supposed to happen,
Bro.
So I don't overthink them anymore. And it does make me feel good. It gives me a little self-gratification here and there and makes me want to keep going. And if it doesn't happen for another while, like another year or so, that's fine. Like I've already gotten nods from producers and artists that have shaped my life already. Like Jay Electronica liked one of my videos a while back.
Yeah.
Knowledge reacted one of my beats on his live stream. And if you listen to the tape, I actually used that drop on the second track.
Wow.
Where he's like, he played it on the stream, and I was in the comments. I was like, yeah, I made this on my iPad. He's like, he stopped the track. He's like, how you chopping samples on the iPad, dog? Like,
wow.
how you doing that? Like, and then this was like 2022, right? Like a couple months after COVID, and that's when like I was like, all right, let's go. Like content every 2 days. Can't be missing it. Like it's a job. Like I'm not making any money off it, but I gotta treat it like a job.
Wow, man, that's incredibly inspiring, man. I appreciate you, and I mean, I appreciate you sharing the story. And I was gonna say, like, being able to talk to people have a conversation just like this. Both of us are kind of like, we have the same or similar um things that we're doing in terms of being content creators, right? There's the positive stuff like these experiences, and then there's this has been on my mind a lot lately, the negatives, which are the potential toxicity of the social media and of spending too much time consuming content and being careful of these like pitfalls and stuff like that I'm kind of learning about. I'll have to go through times where I'll like need to delete it from my phone. I'm taking a step back. It's still on my iPad. I can still use it as like a work iPad kind of thing, but like I'm like checking it too much in order to say I know that I'm not being like effective with my time and stuff. So have you experienced any like challenges like that, like doing the things that you're doing?
Anything like I feel like all that's overbearing, but it's always from an inside perspective where I feel like this is not planning out or not going the way I wanted to, like this rollout for something, or like the way I wanted this to be received by people is not going the way I want it to. But that's all just my own mind playing like tricks on itself, because like I said, my main goal was just growth. And when I'm not seeing the growth that I got, because I look at my insights a lot and I love the analytics behind things because I graduated in marketing. And so I love seeing insights and seeing what's working, what's not. And then if I'm continuing to do something and it's not working anymore, then I switch it up. Like if you can see my page, it's a lot of trial and error, like things that I thought were working and then they stop working and I try something else. So I'm always like on my toes about that kind of stuff, because I know with being consistent and doing one thing, like being a one-trick pony, it can get jaded and you can get stagnant, So you got to always find a way to just at least keep people feeling like they're still going to be inspired by your next post,
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're just like sitting at the same desktop or the same monitor, your same setup, and you're saying you're putting the same videos out, it'll get tired eventually. Like people aren't going to be as interested because they're not seeing where this is going. Like it's going to be the same thing over and over again, unless you're going to like find new ways to switch it up, find new backdrops, do something cooler with it. And I'm starting to get there now. I want to start switching it up more, so just more engaging content, like not just the beat vid, but me like actually going through the workflow of how I approach like a beat, maybe like a 2-minute video, like an IGTV video or something, instead of just like a 30-second snippet of a beat that I may not ever even finish,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So on that same sort of topic, one of the things that for me that's difficult, or not difficult, that I don't like about Koala is the fact that when I launched this app, I'm not able to start. Well, that's actually, I was going to say I'm not able to start creating immediately. That's actually not true. You can start creating immediately by using the mic. They're ready to go, right? But so far with me using the app, I don't use the microphone to do stuff as much as I do importing sounds, right? That's most of the stuff that I do. And then I'll add some like flavoring with microphone stuff. So my question to you is, if we can go in your brain for a second, like say if after this conversation, say if you're hopping on your iPad and you're going to start making a beat, like I would be interested in hearing what does your workflow kind of look like when you open a new session? Are you always starting from scratch? Do you have a template that you use where you do a save as kind of thing? Like walk us through kind of what that generally looks like.
So this is where like the unorthodox things come in. Like I am the most unorganized person when it comes to like looking at my files. Like I don't save things as like the titles I don't save like actual titles. Like if you look through my save folder right now, it is just gibberish. Like I don't know. If I have an idea of like the first word that comes to my mind when I make the beat, I'll like type it in real fast and save it, but it will just be sloppy. I don't even like type it in like properly.
Yeah.
And I don't remember, like I'll go back, try to find a beat. I'm like, shit, dude, I should have titled this a little differently.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to go through a bunch of different files of just nonsense. But my workflow, I always start from scratch. I have a lot of Splice credits. So I'll either go on Splice, find like a drum loop, drum break, start off with drums, mostly always drums, and just find new sounds. And I'll go back to maybe some kicks or some like some hi-hats that I like and maybe use those same ones. Try to just find a groove that I like and then just let it loop, and then go to like the Discord or whatever, or just go through samples and just drag, drop, start chopping, see what fits. And then I start manipulating the sample around the drums. And then I just start like, I don't like sequencing as much. I don't know. I like just letting a loop play onwards. Like I'm very much just like, I see a loop as like just a moment, and I like to capture a moment or a feeling that loop made me feel. So like in terms of sequencing and like making a very like complicated and I don't know, just like a convoluted track, I kind of just love to loop that beat for like 2 minutes, and it's like, that's it. Like I don't really care much. Like knowledge would do that, because I just love listening to a loop that that makes me feel something over and over again. Because I feel like the beats that I make are more just moments of my life that I can capture, and I just loop it because it makes me feel a certain way. So I imagine I could kind of convey it to the listener in that sense.
Let me jump in for a second. So I hear drum loop first. So you have the drum looping, for example, not necessarily sequence, but you have like the pad enabled and you have that looping to start.
No, I always like I'll play my own drums. Like I always like my own drum patterns. Always like I'll just chop up a drums like a drum loop or a drum break from like a Count Cole. Usually I have a lot of Count Cole drums in my beats. I really like his sounds. His kicks are really hearty kicks. They cut through the mix and it makes it easier. But yeah, just like that, let the drums play for literally 20, 30 minutes as I'm finding samples.
Yeah, that's fire. That's fire. Okay. Yeah, that's cool, man. And just kind of having fun with it, being inspired. Do you use what is it called? What's it called? Warp feature, like to get like the BPM synced up so that the sequence tempo, do you use that sometimes? Or how do you get like the drum?
The time stretch, you mean?
Time stretch. Yeah, there you go.
I abused the time stretch. When that function came out, I was in love because that's what I really needed. I hated having to pitch and pitch samples down, and I hated doing that. The fact that time stretch came out was a game changer for me. Because I'll use a lot of loops from people on Discord, and it'll just be like a chord progression or something. But the way I can be able to manipulate it with the time stretch just makes it mine at that point. I'm like, okay, now this is the way I hear it sounding with my drum, and I'm able to make it my own at that point. And then I'll do some chops and sequence it a bit. But yeah, most of the time, if I'm not chopping up an old school soul record, and I'm usually doing some stuff from like Discord or Splice, and just like time stretching that. And then even if I don't even like the way that the sample is, it fits with the drums, the fact that there's a sample playing at the same BPM as the drums, I can do more with the drum pattern and find new pockets in the drum pattern. And then I'll just take that sample out and drop some new samples in. And now it's like, and then I just go on from there. It progresses from there.
That's fire, man. So name for me, we'll go two more questions. Yeah, we'll go two more questions. So first one is name for me like something that you would like to see in the app feature.
In the app. What was I? Oh, I was actually thinking about this the other day. I might draw a blank here because they have so much now. I literally actually wanted the stems, be able to export stems, and that just happened.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what if you're a millennial, I consider millennial.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
I'm around 28, so I grew up with like the show called All That.
Oh yeah.
You remember that show? And so on track 3, I had a beat that I was just gonna loop and I was gonna call it a different name and everything. And then it was like the day before I was about to drop the tape that I found out about the exporting your stems.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just like, I wanted to sample All That. The theme song, the TLC, the chorus.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, that's
yeah. And so I just grabbed like the first 30 seconds of it because I know you can only do like 20 seconds or the first 20 seconds of the track.
Yeah.
And it exported the stems pretty well. Like it wasn't sloppy or anything. It was pretty good. And then it fits so well with the beat that I used it as a drop. And then I took that chorus when you were just singing and put it over the beat, and it fits so well. If you listen to track 3, you'll hear it. And I used that right away, and it felt really good. So now I haven't made a beat in like about a month because I've been trying to like just like find out which tracks are gonna fit on the tape, and haven't really made much. So this week I'm really about to just go back and just have a lot more fun, dude. Because I know that if I'm having fun again, and I'm not feeling like this is like tedious, boring work for me anymore, I'm not progressing. Like now that I put out a tape, my confidence is through the roof, and I just want to keep making better music, better loops, better fucking I don't know everything.
Yeah. I love you're inspired, bro. That's what it is. Hearing you and watching you kind of talk about something that excites you and something that things are clicking, you know what I'm saying? Like in terms of what you're doing, in terms of getting in terms of being received well and it being something that you enjoy, like you're enjoying it and people are enjoying it. That's like the recipe for, in my opinion, part of the recipe for success. Because it's not gonna hopefully ever feel like work. Hopefully you're always, resetting when need be so that it's always fresh and it's always something that you're enjoying. And because here's the other thing. If you were to ask me, Kev, what is your most used iOS music app? If you ask me that question, the answer is not Koala. The answer is Core Gadget 2. I use Core Gadget 2, not a lot more, but I would say considerably more than Koala. Two totally different apps. But from a perspective of someone who comes from the place of, synth sequencing, like you mentioned, playing
musicality, yeah.
100%, man. That is like my bread and butter right there. So like if you ask me like, yo, like give me a MIDI keyboard or give me my digital piano here, let me go ahead, mess with some sounds and like record some chords or whatever. Like that's my bread and butter. So but the hype and the interest level in Core Gadget 2 versus that of Koala Sampler, they're like night and day, right? Core Gadget 2 rarely, if ever, gets any updates. There's not new features coming. There's not people that are excited about it. And part of what makes Koala so dope is the fact that we know how dope Marek, I just used dope twice, but yes, we know how dope Marek is, the developer, and how steadfast he is in really doing something that's almost like how are you able to do this and it only costs $5 or $3 for the like how and why shouldn't this be like a $20 app? But like we're all appreciative of it, but I'm also looking at it like, dang, like that has to be a lot of work, especially this latest update. Like I'm not trying to tell them to sell the app for $20, don't get me wrong, but the latest update is just like what had to happen in order for you to be able to extract sounds like that's crazy to me. That's so interesting.
But I think he was just going for consumability. He wanted it in as much people's hands as possible, as quickly as possible. And that's where I really like Marek, because I'm, as a marketing guy, like that's what you want. You want the more people to have it. You want it in the most hands possible.
Yep.
And if their phones are already in your hand and all you got to do is go to the app store and pay $5, yo, come on. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And so the fact that, yeah, like you're saying, Marek is so hungry and he's constantly working on the app, it makes me inspired that I know there's more of a future of me pushing this app, and it's not just gonna hit a wall. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm still making those Koala beats, man. Like, nah, people are gonna be like, oh man, you knew what you were talking about about this app, and it's just like supplemental. Like it's all just like I'm trying to grow with Koala, and Koala's trying to grow with their community as well. So it's not just like it's not like a one side, like an uphill battle. Like everyone's trying to truck towards the same goal, I feel like.
Got you. That's dope, man. And I'm gonna ask one more question. So, say for example, as a matter of fact, here we go. We were talking about people that reached out to you, right? Like famous people, right? People who are well known in the music space. So, say if one of them, say if Hit Boy said, "Yo, send me something, man." Do you have a beat right now that maybe is your favorite beat, or maybe it's not your favorite, but do you have a beat that you feel is one that that is just your best beat? And by best meaning like it's high on your list of favorite. And it's also something that you think a lot of people are going to really, really enjoy.
Well, knowing that I have an imposter syndrome where like I'm still blown away the fact that people enjoy listening to what I make. Because at the end of the day, like I go up and down with how I feel about my own music. I'm like, am I making music that I can make, or am I making music that's can be listened by other people? And that was like my biggest fault, I feel like. So I wouldn't say I have a beat that I can feel like comfortable giving to Hit Boy and him listening to by himself. Gotcha. I would say I'd want to be in the room. And I'd want him to feel my energy as I'm listening to the beat, like seeing how passionate I am when I'm listening to my own music. And like I'd want to be in the room, you know, if they were listening to my music. Yeah. I wouldn't feel comfortable just sending a track over and then having them digest it. And like, because it's like I still feel like I don't know, I am synonymous with my own music, and the way people see me interact with my music, it's like almost like a magic trick, you know. People will be more inclined to love your music based on how much you love your music, you know.
Sure, for sure. Which is
Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but I just feel like as a creative, I would love to be in that room playing the beat and just like nodding my head and having them, like, even if they're nodding their head, I'm enjoying it. And if I'm enjoying it, the chances of them enjoying it are a lot higher, you know?
Did you watch the Kanye documentary?
Absolutely. Cried a couple of times.
100%. Right. Just like one of the most, like that was like a time capsule situation of like us knowing about a lot of this stuff in terms of the finished product, but now being able to see it after never seeing it. We haven't seen him in the studio working on College Dropout and stuff until this moment. That was just, and you talk about crying a couple of times. You saw when his mom poured into him, I think on the first episode, when
on the steps,
bro, I think it was inside. I think it was inside,
in the house, when she said, when a giant looks in the mirror, he doesn't see a giant. Yeah.
Bro, man, like, come on, man, like, come on. That was so good.
You can't script any of that. It is the blueprint of how it feels to be a beat maker and making it into this industry, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. And watching this guy get, and this is my thing too, like the same sort of response that you just shared about, you know, I'm more comfortable now playing a beat for someone, either sending it or playing it or whatever. I'm more comfortable than I ever have been. Back in the day, like that was something I was very uncomfortable sharing my music with people because I didn't want, you know, rejection but ultimately it's not even just normal. it is expected that your music is not going to be loved by everyone because that's what music is. Some people like people like that, right? But
Yeah.
seeing Kanye get so amped early on in his career when he knew what he was doing. He knew he had all this stuff, right? But people didn't know. But seeing him get amped with his music in the studio, like got me like I'm sure you felt the same way, man. You like watch this, you're like, yo, I'm going downstairs. I'm going to make something right now. Like it's so inspiring.
Around the time when the Kanye documentary was coming out is when the Hit Boy thing happened. And I was like, this is my Kanye moment. This is my Kanye. I was geeking, dude. But no, yeah, it's like a modern day equivalent of that. Like these kind of interactions when I get like a nod from like a Jay Electronica, like that shit blows my mind, dude. It blows my cousin's mind, the ones who put me on to hip hop in the first place, like going full circle now. It's all coming full circle. Like, and they were like, yo, like, where's my dividends at? We got you into this stuff. Now I'm like, I ain't making no dividends yet. Like I put out the tape on Friday and I was blown away that people were paying. Someone paid $50 for it, $30 for it. And I was like, man. I mean, I'm not looking at numbers like that. I'm not seeing this as a job or anything yet. I treat it like a job because I want to get to that. I want to get to that point. And if it ever gets to that, I made it point, I'm not going to feel like, damn, I didn't deserve this. I'm gonna feel like, yeah, this is what I worked for. This is what I kept my head down and kept going for. Like this is what I'm doing it for.
Which platform or platforms did you release the mixtape?
It's just a little tape. Like I wanted to make it like a theme, but it was so hard because I had so many beats that I like.
Yeah.
And then some of them just didn't flow right with the tape. So I put 11 tracks out just on Bandcamp just to get over that hump of just feeling like I'm putting out something outside of Instagram. It's like a step for me because I never really wanted to grow on like a YouTube or SoundCloud because I just didn't. I wanted to focus on IG and growing a following first, and the reception from the Bandcamp tape was pretty cool.
That's awesome. I'm excited myself to listen to it. Like soon, like after this, I want to
absolutely.
I was very very interested in Bandcamp specifically versus the other streaming platforms because it seems to me as though Bandcamp is like doing a lot of right when it comes to independent artists like us. And I'm working on an album myself, my first album that's like dedicated to my daughter. And awesome. Instrumentals on it. I wanted to drop it on the 29th of April. That was my
That's what I did.
Oh, is that right? 29th?
That's when I dropped, yeah.
I ended up skipping that date, bro, because what happened was I had so many more grandeur ideas, such as, bringing my immediate family in one by one so we had our baby shower, and on these cards on the tables, there were like best wishes for baby Alan. My last name is Alan. So at the time they didn't know our daughter's name is Kayla. Best wishes for baby Alan. And it was like, I hope you, and then it was like fill in the blank. So everyone did these. My wife and I read them like to ourselves privately afterwards, like a day after, and I recorded the whole thing. The thought, it's like, oh, this is going to be amazing to share with her, like in a few years or something, 10 years. And then I was like, oh, maybe I can use that for the album, right? Put a little music behind it, and it's like a little more introspective and stuff. But then I'm like, all right, I didn't have a professional mic that we were doing. It was my pocket camera that was recording it. Then I was like, how dope would it be to like have every 4 tracks or every 3 tracks be the name of one of her immediate family members, like her, she has 2 aunts now, 1 uncle, and 4 grandparents. So like each of those tracks, like the name of one of them, reading with the professional mic, reading their well wishes for her. And like all these and that takes time to do, of course. Like I don't want to rush into it and stuff. So now I'm kind of thinking like, all right, I want this to be even bigger. And by bigger, I mean like I want to feel super proud of it, and I want her to eventually like have this thing that's hers, that she can listen to with her middle school friends or something like that in a few years, or several years. I don't want to rush time. She's still so young. But yeah, man. So I say all that to say I'm definitely having that released on Bandcamp for the same reasons that I'm sure you did. But then I'm figuring out, like, I also probably want to have it come out on the regular streaming platforms at some point after. So people that don't know even what Bandcamp is, like, which is most people that know me, can have access to it as well.
Absolutely. So no, yeah, I wanna do more stuff, but I'll know when I'm right for like streaming platforms. Like I don't want to put this tape on Spotify because it's like a lot of diluting it. It won't feel the same because I have remixes and stuff on it. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to dilute it and put it on Spotify, and it won't be the same like project. But yeah, I want to just start working on stuff that I can put on Spotify, because all I wanted to do is just make an Instagram story and have my own beat play over that. That'd be dope. That's like a goal I want. That's just it's a meaningless goal, but it's something that I think would be cool,
Bro, do you realize how, I don't want to say easy, and finish going first, and then I'll say something.
I don't know, just like when I was in my car playing the tape on Bandcamp and it showed up on my dash, I thought that was just another crazy thing. Like I could see my music getting played and the covers on there and everything. It
Yeah.
just seemed way more legit than
Yep.
me just bumping on like a file or my Instagram the whole time because that's all I used to do. So
Yeah.
now I just feel like an actual artist nowadays. It feels pretty cool. It feels pretty good, and having something that's going to be there forever, it makes it even more worth it. You know.
That's fire, man. Yo, man. I'm gonna give you back some time now. I think we're almost at our time, but I just want to say, well, what I was gonna say is how easy with like something like DistroKid. I'm sure you've heard of that before, but it's a
Yeah.
platform that's very, 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 very easy, and I think they're doing some quite incredible things. I was checking out. I'm a patron of theirs, I guess you call it. I haven't released anything official in like several years now.
Yeah.
They have some really cool what they call goodies. Check it out when you get a chance. It's like it's things that are extra on top of just what you know the service. Oh, you got Cuphead back there? Oh,
Oh, I was watching Twitch streams. So yeah, you'll see like some
oh,
yeah, Cuphead will pop up. I love Cuphead. I love that little 60s, 70s kind of vibe, you know.
I haven't watched the cartoon yet, and but I know about the game, and I know how hard it was and how beloved it was and stuff too. So I just saw that. I was like, oh shit, Cuphead.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a nerd in a lot of aspects. Music is my main thing that I nerd out on right now, but I used to be a heavy gamer as well.
You ever play Super Smash Brothers?
Absolutely.
Can
Absolutely. Oh no, I was never like a savant at any kind of video game like that. I never really played like I played like games like Overwatch. You ever heard of those games? I was yeah, kind of a gamer like that. I play a lot of role playing games and stuff, but not much like Super Smash Bros. Things like that. I wasn't really much of a Nintendo head. I played a lot of Pokemon, that's for sure.
Okay, back in the day, yeah. I got my. I mean, look, man, I got my GameCube controller sitting right here. I play. I'm at
Classic.
like over 900 hours, believe it or not, in the latest Smash Bros. I go in with that joint. Like it's my form of like competitive and stress relief. Like I love it, man. I really do. I'm glad I have.
Do you follow like the competitive scene and stuff?
Not so much. A little bit. Like I like when I used to chat with my friends more, and we used to get together and play. Like they follow it, so they would kind of keep me privy with things. But I'll just
Yeah.
hop on like Elite Smash online, and I'll just play, and I just like it's mad fun. It's one of the most fun things that I can possibly do. Like for me personally, like it's that level.
Hey, music cannot be the only fulfilling thing in your life, man. You gotta have something else. Like I'm more of a socialite. I like going out more nowadays.
Yeah.
And that kind of like it hinders me from making as much more music than I should. But it kind of just gets my mind off of it. So I'm not always hyper focused on like the progress thing that I was telling you about, like just making sure I'm doing this, hitting the numbers, or doing.
Yeah.
I stopped focusing on those and just started living a life a little more. You know.
Finding that balance.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, man. So look, thank you so much again for coming on.
Absolutely.
Let you let my audience know how to find you.
Right now I just got the Instagram. I might change my name to shorten it up to just Impression, but right now Impressionable Sound. Spell it just like I said, Impressionable Sound. You might see me on socials every now and then on the Koala Sampler page if they when they collaborate with me. But then yeah, I'll be around just mostly on IG. Got Bandcamp now. Impression IMPRESHN.
Got you. Love that, man. You're gonna shorten the name. I'll co-sign that. I think that's dope. Impression is like because so here's the deal. You had I'm getting in your mind for a second, but you probably had sound there when you first started because that's you didn't have a following. Now you have a following. Now it's like yeah. I love that idea. I love the idea.
The concept of being impressionable lingered on my mind a lot because I only know what I know in terms of this hip hop stuff. I've listened to music my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm only influenced and I can only make music from things that I've heard before. So obviously I'm not like some motherfucker who just hears something and tries to mimic it. I'm just saying like I'm influenced by a lot of artists and this is who I am. I'm a culmination of those artists and that I've listened to my whole life. And some of them have already seen my stuff and heard my stuff, which is even crazier to me.
That's fire, man. Yo, I'm genuinely excited to continue watching, you do your thing and you grow. And you not even seem, but you are focused. You're focused
absolutely
on what it is that you're doing. And like I mentioned earlier, when I have a chance to talk to people who are focused and in a similar space as I'm in, that is one of these are the types of conversations that really, really resonate with me because for me, it gives me a little bit of a push, right? To see and to hear someone who may be more focused than maybe I am right now, or maybe has shared, several, like in this case, several tidbits or several things that were inspiring and or helpful to me that I'm sure are going to be that way with others who have a chance to listen to this and watch this. So I thank you for that, man.
Because yeah, we're both trying to grow a community, not necessarily a fan base. Because as a community, I not just one sided. You can't reach me. I have friends now on this music account all over the world that I've already linked up with multiple times here around Texas. But I could
Nice.
literally go to Tokyo and have someone I can chop it up with, and you can show me
Yeah.
around. I can go to anywhere on the states.
Fire.
Yeah, and that shit blows my mind more than anything. The fact that all the connections I made are way more valuable than just like what I've learned through like making music, and it's just awesome. I think growing on social media is just the funnest thing in the world.
Wow. That's I didn't even think about that, man. The fact that a lot of these people are from different parts of the world. So when if slash when you have a chance to visit these places, like you have someone who you know quite well, right? Depending on the level of interaction that you guys have had, but it's people that you probably maybe talk to or interact with, maybe more often than people that live, close to you or people that you grew up with or whatever. So to have that, I totally think is super beneficial. And the point I made earlier about social media, the negatives with it, I'm very like I'm becoming more and more aware of. Yeah, just like anything, there's going to be a balancing act, but the positives of being able to meet people like yourself and others who are like-minded, who we can learn together, grow together, inspire each other and stuff. This is something that wouldn't be possible, right? You live very far from where I live. We're not going to like know each other or find a way to kind of interact with each other without that medium there as a centerpiece. So it is. I love how you said that. It's an important reminder of me. Like I've been not bashing, but I've been saying negative things. I've been bringing to light the negative things of social media on some conversations that I've had recently. But it is important to shine a light on the positives, which there are several of those as well.
Yeah, because our content isn't for everybody. So where the content may lack in terms of connecting with somebody, I think the fact that I showcase myself, my personality, like where I live, the things that I like to consume, like you can see my apartment, you see like all the things that I like to
Yeah,
create, the things that I enjoy. People will gravitate more towards that than the actual music sometimes, and
yeah,
that's why it's like one or the other. Like sometimes a musical hit or sometimes a visual hit, like yeah, it's either vice versa,
yeah.
So I think it's really important to just showcase yourself, be wholeheartedly yourself, and then you never know, man. People will just you come across someone's explore page and it could change your life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're just banking on the odds, man. Let it all be in God's hands.
That's it, man. Well said. And I got to mention too, my best friend, who was my best friend in sixth grade when I first moved to New Jersey, what is from Pakistan. His name is Iqbal, and so
Iqbal,
you're popular name, right? In Pakistan culture, right? And
absolutely.
he and so you're the second person from Pakistan that I've had on my show. And this is pretty cool. I mentioned that to him, to the first guy, total different space. He's an entrepreneur himself who helps people without college degrees like get dope jobs. That's essentially his thing is called No Degree. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I'm gonna message Iqbal after this, be like, yo, I got the second dude, man, from your country on my show, man.
Yeah,
Out.
it's cool. It's cool because as a Pakistani dude, I didn't think I was gonna be opened I wasn't. I didn't think I was gonna be welcomed with open arms in a very black dominated space of hip hop, and I didn't feel like I had to prove myself, but I feel like with the music kind of just did that for me. Like, yeah, he's influenced. He knows what he's talking about. I don't think he's posing or trying to be something he's not. Because this is all I know. Like I was a kid. I'm not thinking about race like that. I'm just thinking of the shit that I like, and I was listening to hip hop at a very young age. So that's just who I am. I'm ingrained in it, man.
Yeah, that's you.
June.
That's it, man.
Thank you. Great conversation. I loved it.
Yeah, man. Truly enjoyed it, man. Truly enjoyed it. Hope you have a awesome rest of the day, and I'll definitely be hitting you up when we drop this. We'll do a collab on both of our pages and get this out to the people because I think it's gonna be dope for them to get a chance to hear from you a little bit too. Because I don't
Yeah,
know if
yeah.
you talk too much in your videos, right?
No, yeah. I just talked the other day when I dropped the tape. I woke up extremely hungover from the night before. I was like, I gotta promo something. I
Okay.
gotta I gotta talk to the people real quick. They gotta hear my voice real quick and let them know like yeah, the tape's out.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, this is it's gonna be cool for that. It was really cool for me, so I know people are gonna enjoy kind of getting to know you a little bit more, and it's gonna hopefully, yeah, just continue to strengthen that relationship between you and your fan base and your community. So I'm excited.
No, let me know when this out. Let me know when this is out, and I'll try to find a clip, and then I'll throw it on my Instagram for sure. I'll tag you and everything.
Absolutely, man. No doubt. That sounds great, brother.
Absolutely, my girl. Thank you so much.
And take care of yourself.
You too, man.